My name is Tope Alabi. I'm the founder and CEO of Afriex.
Hi, my name is Rufus. I'm the head of marketing at Afriex.
And today we're going to kind of break into our world a little bit. Rufus, welcome.
Thank you. Okay. So, what problems were you trying to solve when you developed Afriex?
That's a great question. It's one that I get a lot. So when we started Afriex, we were really trying to, I think, initially solve our own problems,
Okay.
right? So John and I were kind of commuting back and forth from Nigeria to the US, and we were like playing around with different product ideas. And a lot of times we would have to pay ourselves with money that was in a US bank account. And at
Interesting.
that time, it was like really slow and really expensive. So, I would say the big players at that time were probably World Remit. I think Sendwave was just starting to get their feet under them. And back then, if a transaction arrived in 6 hours, it was amazing.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is really fast. I think the first payment I did was actually with Western Union. That took like 48 hours. And then I graduated to like the more digital players like the Sendwaves and the World Remit, and that was like 6 hours. But then I would find myself in a jam sometimes. Like, you're in a restaurant, you need to make a payment right now.
Right.
If not, you're gonna be, in the kitchen
Hmm.
washing dishes. And so trying to solve that problem initially was the speed problem. I would say that's what really got us motivated around the problem. And then, of course, over time, we learned more and more about the space, and things kind of took off from there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So for you, what was the haha moment like after all this? What was the moment that made you double down
mm,
on growing Afriex?
yeah. So we got the speed problem solved, I would say, early, and
Okay.
then the aha moment was right around the pandemic. Sitting it was pandemic. The whole world is shut down. I went back to my mother's house because I just wanted to be around family. So I was kind of like back in my element, my earliest
Hmm.
forms. And I was just sitting there, and I start to realize that the exchange rate that we saw on Google was not the exchange rate
Mm,
that was happening on the ground
yeah.
in Lagos. And so that was before that. It probably seems weird to people now that the parallel market wasn't always such a big deal, but at some points it really wasn't. Like those two rates were like very close together, or even if there was a gap, it was like super small, really tiny.
Right.
And so the pandemic was the first time that there was this big gap, and then people, I would say, new entrants like ourselves at that time
Okay.
really got to see the power of FX. And so once that clicked, we were like, oh wow, this is actually. So before this, we thought, oh, this is like a nice project.
Hmm.
We made really fast payments. Like, wow, that's cool. But then this is when we realized the actual financial value of what we had built, and so we were able to kind of double down on that.
Nice.
And that actually the project started making some money.
Okay.
Yeah. So when did you first kind of like learn about cross border payments? When did this
Yeah.
become like a
So
concept in your life?
for me, it was more around when I entered crypto. Like people were trying to move money from one place to
When you
another.
say enter crypto, where?
Oh yeah. Um okay, I need to take a step back. I don't know if I can mention
Yeah,
Yellow
sure.
Card. Okay. So when I entered crypto, like when I started working for Yellow Card, I noticed that there were a lot of people that were trying to send money to Kenya, send money to South Africa, and there was no direct way to just send that money and the recipient to receive, like, let's say, Kenyan shilling or South African rand. So with crypto rails, we noticed people were buying USDT, USDC, then sending it in an instant. Then the other person on the other side just converts that back to Kenyan shilling. So I realized that yes, this is a huge problem that traditional finance was not solving, and crypto was kind of like helping people move money easily across borders in Africa.
Yeah, it's definitely become a growing space. I would say, funny enough, the crypto story, the effect story, all of these stories kind of like coincide together. I like to call it like faster payments. Well,
Right.
I like to call it that. I don't know. A lot of people may have different themes, but I think generally what we are seeing as a culture is like people want money to move faster,
Yep.
and if you can provide alternate routes that accomplish that, they're willing to pay more.
Agreed.
If you can
Yeah.
combine that with like, if you can make it fast and affordable, super amazing.
Yeah.
Like I imagine a future like one day, 1,000 years from now, our kids are like on spaceships, and money is just like, you know what I mean? People are sending money from one galaxy to the next in like
Interesting.
the speed of light, and it's not even a. No one pays, no one expects any delays. It's just like automatically, and that's just the way the world works. It
Right.
feels like we are kind of, part of building that. We're all kind of the ones that are kind of building all that infrastructure together.
Right.
So what's your view on the market now? Like, what do
So
you see as like the new? So we've talked about speed, we've talked about cost. What are some of the challenges that you see in the market now?
I think transparency. A lot of people send money and they complain that their recipient is not getting the actual value they receive. So a lot of providers are not always transparent with what hidden fees they have in facilitating those transactions. We know a lot of companies will have to pay XYZ before the money gets to the recipient, but having that transparency is what people are struggling with right now. For example, I said £100 and my recipient is getting like 190,000 naira. They're about at the 1,900 rates, like, and they see like 2,000 on the app, for example.
Mhm.
So they are wondering where did the money go. So that transparency is a big issue for some
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I mean, not definitely not something that we're super familiar with. I think our customers would stand for that. I hear that story a lot. I haven't done a lot to investigate it. I think it's quite challenging to run a business where you don't have some level of like integrity and like
Right.
what the customer expects. Ultimately the customer is the one that's kind of telling us all what to do.
Yep.
Um, I guess some of the challenges that I'm seeing now are that people want more ways to pay.
Mhm.
They're like more and more sort of like custom things that people want to do because you know companies like us came into the space. We've got fast payments, we've got cheap payments, reliable, clear use cases.
Right.
But then people may have, oh, I actually want to send dollars to Ghana instead of sending cities. Oh, I actually want to pay a bill,
Yeah.
or I actually want to buy a gift card. So it's like there's all these like more customized use cases that I'm
Mhm.
seeing. Um, just to quickly make us take a stab at what you mentioned about reliability and like sorry, transparency.
Yeah.
Transparency. Um, I'm really excited about some of the stuff that we're doing around that.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen the new receipts that the product
Oh,
team launched.
no.
We have these new receipts with the transaction timeline
Nice.
that show you every step of where the money is. It has like a notification at the top if it's processing, if it's. I just saw it in the new release. I thought it was really cool, but
Nice.
definitely, continuing to take steps in that direction. But again, as I mentioned, I'm also seeing a lot of like custom use cases where people want to move money. They don't want it to go to a bank. They want to pay to a card,
Right.
right? They want to enter the card details, not the bank details,
Right.
or they want to send it to mobile money, or they want to enter like a bill pay. And so I'm starting to see a lot of that, I would say. And, um, I'm interested to see kind of how the ecosystem develops
Okay.
based on that.
Since you started Afriex, you heard so many customer stories. Like, maybe out of those stories, which one really kind of like made you feel like, yes, I actually built a product that is solving real life problems and challenges?
So there are a lot of stories, right?
Okay.
So we do these town halls every once in a while where we gather all the customers and I get to talk to them directly. There are two that, for some reason, stick in my mind early on. The first one was this lady who was trying to. Her brother was at the airport,
Mm.
and his flight got canceled or something, or like he was late. He checked in late, so he
Okay.
had to like get a new ticket, and for some reason he had to make that flight, and it was super urgent. And um, you know, she called me. I was like, "Oh, my brother's at the airport," and I guess there was like a little bit of a delay in her payment, which was she was so used to us being instant every single time,
Right.
and so they just assumed, within the family, just assumed like, yeah, of course I can catch a flying plane using Afriex to pay instantly,
Right.
and it was interesting because it was kind of a customer support call, but it also made me proud to be like, wow, these people just take for granted that we're moving
Yeah.
these, you know, millions of dollars across the world in instance, and
Right.
so much so that they're like betting their plane ticket on it, and so that stuck with me. We got the payment in time. He made the flight. That was great.
Nice.
Um, so that was one positive story where you helped this guy catch his flight. Another one that's maybe a little bit um, more a little bit sadder, I guess, was just there was a woman that was telling us a story about how she was in a hospital,
Mm.
and there was I think her mom or so was in a hospital,
Okay.
and basically the hospital was refusing to treat the patient unless they received their payment
Payment. Oh.
on time, and so a lot of these, as you can tell, come from my customer service interactions, but
Right.
the payment was a little bit slower than what usually happens, and she spoke to us. She spoke to me actually directly that time, and we were able to get it done quickly. And both of those times, it really just dawned on me how much of an impact we can have on like real lives. Like
Yeah.
someone's in the hospital, they need treatment.
Right.
It depends on our service working. And so those kind of moments, I think those are the ones that really stick with me. So
Nice.
every time a payment is like delayed, and of course we're like 95% payments arrive under two
Yeah.
seconds, 99%
2 seconds.
of
Right.
the time or whatever. But then those moments, whenever it doesn't work for someone, it like hits me so hard because I'm like, man, that could be your life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so those are the ones that kind of stick with me. And then when I wake up, I'm like, okay, I got to make sure
Nice.
it's working for these people.
So Rufus, you've been with us for a while now. I see a little bit of hop into 7 months, amazing months. Talk to me about the audience. Who are they? What are they like? So who are our users?
Okay, so basically, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but high level, they are basically diasporan communities in UK, US, or any of the European countries. Also, remote workers. For people who don't know, Afriex has a global account feature where you can receive money anywhere in the world, and the freelancers, basically an independent contractor. You have clients around the world. They want to make payments to you. You can just quickly open an Afriex global account in seconds and start receiving payment. So those three to me are our core audience.
What what drives them? What gets out?
Okay. So we've spoken about high cost and reliability and also transparency. Top three. Another thing is security. Like I go out there, make my money, and I won't send it to my brother in Nigeria. I want to be sure my money is not only getting there fast, but how safe it is. Like I'm having money in the Afrex wallet. I don't want to wake up the next day to say, oh, my money is gone. So I think security is a big part. That trust for them to trust the brand. Like which platform can I keep my money in and I can easily use it to make payment or send money cross borders.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of what I've seen are like a lot of our audiences are either immigrants or like near immigrants.
Yeah.
Right. So they have this like aspiration and dream to move their family somewhere and create a better life, things like that. So that for me is like a big theme that I see across our customers. And a lot of times if they're sending money, they're also trying to help someone. So they're also like a hero, they're a hero to somebody. We used to have this thing internally. We used to say the hustler and the hero. Most of our customers are either hustlers or they're heroes. Easy as it gets. Either they're trying to hustle and get somewhere, or they're being a hero and trying to help somebody else. Like and got it's been fun and interesting to support these people in all their different forms. Thinking about these people and some of the challenges they have, how do you think Afriex is solving all some of the issues?
Yeah, so 7 months here, I can testify that yes, 95% of our transactions actually do go through in less than 2 to 3 seconds. So that's a fact. And we do have this offer. I think it was strange to me when you told me we are willing to give back around $5 for every person whose transaction doesn't go through in 24 hours. And I was like, okay, we have so confidence in our system. So yeah, so faster transaction, lower fees. I know this has been mixed feelings amongst our community, but for us to provide them more efficient service, like to make their transaction faster, we had to introduce those fees, and they are super low. Like it's not okay, $1. Yeah, $1 exactly. So it's not something crazy. Then also transparency. You mentioned that it's a new product pro, which I am curious to see once we push it out, whereby customers know at which point their money is as it's moving across borders. That's interesting. I think that will make our customers like not reach out to our support team a lot when they are wondering where's my money, so they would understand where their money is. And also, I think security. I don't think in my 7 months at Afriex, I've had the customer say, "Oh, I can't find money in my wires." Yeah, so that's key to let customers know that people are sure that there's an appearance that their money is safe in the Afriex wallet. Nothing is going to happen to their money, even when they receive payment from abroad for freelance and remote workers. We don't charge crazy or hidden fees, and we start wondering how did my money reduce? That's I think those are always Afriex episode.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of I get shocked by the guarantee. Like if your money doesn't arrive in 24 hours, right? But those I was shocked. It's it's been great for us. If for some reason something goes wrong with your money and it's our fault, we're happy to stand by that guarantee. But funny enough, we don't actually see that many situations. Yeah, so that Eric was kind of attesting it to be a service. I do see something that some customers have been kind of complaining about a bit was like KYC. Yeah. So that would make everybody kind of verify their ID up front.
Right.
This is something that we kind of went back and forth on throughout the time, but I think it's kind of here to stay. People have to kind of verify their ID.
Right.
And funny enough, I found that over time, people are becoming more used to that because their fintech has become a growing phenomenon. People are finding themselves have to verify their ID, whether it's on, other platforms or even non-financial platforms at this point. And so I think people have kind of become a little bit more comfortable with it. But yeah, it is, uh, you know, thanks to the compliance team, something that were.
Yeah, so a question I'm also curious to ask you is about the milestone on Afriex. Before I joined, I know I think announced 300,000 customers, and we over 500,000 today. Like, are those within your expectation, or you have a bigger milestone you are?
Of course, my dreams are always bigger.
Yeah.
Honestly, we don't really think about those milestones that much. I'll say, well, I'm just speaking for myself and John. Like we just kind of keep going. I've got the chance to see this company go from literally one customer to 10 to 100 to 1,000. So you've seen a lot of these milestones. I think I remember the first time we did like $1 million or something. Like it was like, oh my God, like we're high fiving. But I think the very early milestones we really, really were super happy about. These days we just keep going because we have like this big plan of all the things that we want to do. Right? We're launching B2B products, business products. We're launching other like features for consumers in the app as well. And so I'm more excited actually about the future than anything that we've done so far.
Okay. So, in terms of products and updates, what are we expecting? Like, me in marketing, I'm eager to see what next I can push to the audience. So, like, what do you have in mind? I know there's been rumors around cards, around loans, and all of this. So, what's the thought process of that?
I think cars is coming soon. Cars is definitely coming soon. That's one that we're very excited about. We've worked on that for a long time. Either years to few forms. So I think the audience is going to finally get to see that probably within the next couple of months. I'm also very excited about our just business tools. So we do a lot of business things today. A lot of it has been manual. So now we're starting to build a little bit more software on that. So yeah, I'm very. Those are a couple of things that I'm very excited to see.
So to further spice this up, our competitors. Like for me, I do a lot of competitive analysis, and if I look at Wise, for example, they have so many like corridors that they are catering for, and we are starting to grow into and more of these corridors. So for Afriex, how do you think we fare compared to those competitors?
Great question. I would say we've definitely been setting a trend as far as like what kind of money movements are possible in Africa, from Africa, within Africa as well. So I think we've really pushed the culture and the ecosystem very long way in there. Basically, we've kind of set the tone for this region. I would say other times. I do see some of those players trying to get more into the space, but I think the local players have a significant edge in network and significant edge in connectivity. And so I expect us to continue to do extremely well in these regions that we are in. And now beyond the borders of Africa, when we look at maybe like South Asia and other parts of the world as well, um, remittances is a naturally global um, product. And so even, for example, people in South Africa want to send money to India. People in Nigeria want to send money to China, right? And so we will continue to expand into those corridors as well. I say what we do great is that we really own this audience, right? We understand that, we cater for that, and we're also like super well connected to the payment systems. And so that's how it is.
Okay. The other day I was on Facebook and I noticed that some people were trading crazy amount of fees to just move money from Europe to Africa.
What do you think about that? Yeah, my take on fees is that moving money around the world does cost money, and so there should be some amount of fees, but probably not as big as what many services charge. Sometimes I see the more workers receiving money and paying large amounts of fees to receive their salaries. Or I have a friend who was moving money from one European country to the next and was paying like $20 to send $100 to their mom. And so those scenarios shouldn't be the case.
So regarding traditional players, a lot of them kind of like exclude sending money to Africa. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks have this idea that there's not much value in African markets. They look at the official GDP numbers and they're trying to make like an investment case. And so this is why a lot of global companies will kind of skip over Africa. Now, they'd rather go to Latin America, or maybe they'll go to like South Asia, because they feel like they have more information on real markets. I think that's an advantage for a lot of the younger players like us who understand these markets. We know that those high unemployment numbers are not exactly, those unemployed people are not just sitting at home. Right? And so we're able to capitalize on it. I think it's just an information gap. The world will eventually catch up. But in the meantime, continue building.
So we already know a little about Afriex.
I think what's interesting for me is 7 months ago was my first time into the remittance space from a fiat cross-border payments as opposed to being crypto driven. So you've been in this industry for years now. What do you think the future of the industry looks like? Like, is it shaping towards what you expect, like when you started?
I think so, actually. Um, it's funny. We had a vision when we first started, and we thought we could just go right into it, and then we found some resistance. So our vision initially was, like you said, moving money across the world would be super easy. Crypto and others are fast payment rails will enable really fast, really cheap cross-border connects. We jumped in the industry with that vision, and then uh, we had some reality checks and some various stakeholders, uh, including governments, kind of let us know what speed they were at that time. And so what we found is over the years, the regulators and the governments and the banks are also starting to catch up. They are becoming more friendly to different payment rails. And so the future that I see is one of really fast payments all over the world. Really fast local payments, really fast international payments. Using both fiat and crypto rails, especially stable coins. A lot of governments are experimenting with central bank digital currencies as well. So super fast digital payments all across the world. Companies like Afriex really powering that, especially on the cross-border side. Another thing that I see happening is Africa really getting lit up as a send originators. Like so, right now most of the volume is coming into Africa, and that will continue to happen. But there's actually a lot of like African senders as well. People in Africa that get to send to the UK. People in Africa if you send to the next country next door. Turns out most people that immigrate in Africa are actually moved to other African countries. And so being able to enable that movement is something that I see really picking up in the future as well. I think it's going to be a very foundational for commerce in the African continent. I think it's going to be very foundational for trade. And so that's something that I really see happening.
So we've discussed the challenges, the features, and how Afriex is helping a lot of people around the world. Why do you think Afriex is the ultimate solution for global payment?
So including the ultimate cross-border app, right? You can send money from one place to the next. You can send money back, giving you a multi-currency accounts, so where you can receive money. We talked about other future features of being able to spend money as you travel. So Afriex is the ultimate solution because we're building an ultimate called the border payment application.
Thank you so Tope. It was really insightful conversation. It's been 7 months here, and still learning about the company and about our audience, and looking to scale Afriex into the $100 million monthly revenue. Like you always drill into our head. So thank you guys for listening and watching. We hope you download Afriex, and those of you who are planning to jackpot, remember Afriex is your body to facilitate cross-border payments. And if you are working remotely and you want to start receiving payments, download the Afriex app. In minutes, you would get your global account and you start receiving money from anywhere in the world. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you, and see you on the next one.